Hey, this is Meredith Elliott Powell, and you know what time it is. It is 8 a.m. Eastern, Saturday morning, and time for Sales Logic. Mark, we are both at home in our offices this week. I know you have had a busy week.
Yeah, it's been busy. You know what? I tell you what's interesting is for all of the turmoil out there that people say, there's a lot of opportunities for salespeople. Salespeople don't think for a moment that there are not opportunities out there. They continue to just rain down on us if you're out there making it happen.
Yeah, you gotta have your foot on the gas right now. So we've got a powerful show. We're going to actually talk about sales tools. I had an interesting week, and a couple of clients really struggling to get their sales teams to use their CRM. So, one of the most important things for salespeople, the value of us, is that we get to be live in front of customers, and tools are a powerful way that we get more face-to-face customer time. But I'll go ahead, shoot the video, and we will dive in. Hey, Meredith Elliott Powell, back again, Saturday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern. Before Mark dives in and tells you what we're going to cover today, I'm going to talk about how the show works. We come to you every Saturday morning. We've got a hot topic. Favorite part is a question from you, the audience. We cover a book, and because we want you to leave with return on investment, we have a lightning round, the strategies that you need to implement immediately. We've already got our audience chiming in, so make sure that that you get involved in the chat. But Mark, what are we going to talk about today?
Well, what we're going to be talking about is top sales tools. And at the top of the food chain, of course, is your CRM. And the question this week comes from Nathan in Detroit. He writes, I'm a CMO for a large manufacturer with a global sales force. My team does well, not as great as they should be. We are hit or miss with several tech tools, including our CRM. I think it's time for a new CRM. Any input or advice? Oh, this is going to be good. I like it. Go ahead.
Absolutely no new CRM. Do not even think about investing in a brand new CRM because you're not using the CRM that you've got. When I work with clients and they tell me that it's the CRM is the problem, that things aren't working, your CRM may be bad. It may be weak. I'm gonna give you that. But you have to get salespeople in the mode of tracking in general. Quite frankly, we all could be doing this on an Excel spreadsheet. We don't have to have a CRM. A CRM just makes our lives better. So I'm not going to argue that you don't need to replace the CRM. Just don't replace the CRM until you get the sales team using it.
Oh, wow. You are speaking my language, because in fact, it's funny because I had this exact same conversation yesterday with a CRO of a company out of Pennsylvania. And he made the comment, he says, Mark, it really kind of needs some assistance from you because we're converting to Salesforce. And I go, okay, talk to me. And then he goes and says, well, we haven't really had a CRM up to this point in time. We've been using Excel spreadsheets. And I said, hold it, let's stop right there. Because really what you're doing is you're asking your sales force to make two big changes. One, to get used to using a CRM system, and two, to take on the beast of all CRMs, Salesforce. So Meredith, you are spot on. It's the culture. If the organization is not ingrained in using a CRM, don't think for a moment spending a boatload of money is going to suddenly change the world, because it's not. You have got to get your team focused. So I'm going to really drive home right now with Nathan to say, hey, Nathan, why isn't your sales force embracing what they're using? Now, if they are using it, then there's a valid conversation that can be had, maybe CRM. But I'll tell you what, Nathan, don't use bad CRM system as an excuse as to why numbers aren't being achieved.
So there's one simple answer to why your sales team isn't using the CRM. It's a really easy answer. It's because you're not making them. You're not holding them accountable to do it. It always cracks me up when, and I want to, in full disclosure, nobody violated using a CRM more than me. I mean, I hated the thing. When I first started in business for myself, when I was in corporate, I never entered anything into the CRM because my sales manager didn't make me. It wasn't what I got a reward for. And when I started my own business, I did not use a CRM. Guess what? I got caught with my pants down big time. I got into a position where I couldn't remember if I'd called on people, or I'd wake up in the middle of the night and remember I never followed up with those people and I missed a sales opportunity. A CRM is not something that is done to you. It is actually something that makes your life far easier and helps you close more deals.
See, that goes right back to this whole culture thing. So many salespeople believe that the CRM system is a gotcha tool. It's a gotcha tool. Oh, it's the way management looks on me and tells me if, and so they absolutely run from it. No, it is a tool that is going to help you because, like you just said, wow, I didn't realize I had this opportunity. I find the same thing in my own business. A CRM is absolutely essential. But here's the other thing, and this is something that I see time and time again, and I just saw it again just a couple of weeks ago. A VP of sales lambasting his organization for not using CRM, and yet the VP of sales there was no login ever from the VP of sales in their own CRM system. Now, wait, hold it. You see, you have to inspect what you expect. And if you as a leader are not embracing the same tech tools, CRM, right at the top of the food chain, then why should you ever expect your people to do it? Because again, CRM is a absolute incredible tool. Now, it's not to hold you hostage. It's to guide you in the path of delivering your sales numbers.
I would also add that too, what are you doing to explain the value of the CRM? Are you letting people know why they need to use the CRM and the value and the benefit that the CRM is going to be with them? So, certainly you want to hold people accountable, but you also want to make sure that they understand and they see the value. I mean, the way that I saw the value was I just started to go back through my CRM and I found so many customers that I had never followed up with. I'd put their names in there, but I never followed up with them. And I just saw how many deals, that I had lost.
See, there's something really key there because I see people jumping into a CRM system and they overload it. They overload it with their cadence. They overload it with their follow-ups, with their expectations, etc. And what happens is suddenly they're held hostage to the CRM system, and then they run from it. So what I tell organizations when you're stepping into a CRM system, yes, you want to get all the customer data in there and so forth, but you set your expectations low initially. The reason being is because you got to get traction, you got to get acceptance, you got to see that it's the tool using for them. Because I see oftentimes when an organization converts to a new CRM system, that salespeople are spending 2 and 3 hours a day just trying to update and trying to stay on top of the CRM system. Well, guess what? That's going to create a bad attitude really, really quickly. I'm sure you've seen a lot of situations too.
And I'm wondering how AI is really going to be able to advance that, in the sense that we're going to be able to just record things off of our phone and it go right into our, CRMs and things like that. I think that's going to, continue to do nothing but get better and better. But if you have somebody who is spending so much time entering information into the CRM, I think you have a salesperson who would rather be entering data into the CRM than somebody who would rather be on the street. The thing that I learned about salespeople, hiring them years ago, is that when I hired salespeople and I needed them to be behind the desk, I could never get a good salesperson to stay in the office. And I could never get somebody who chose to be behind the desk to get on the street. I mean, it's a personality shift. I love what Brad says here is the CRM as a tool to track your journey on client connection and continued conversation. I love the advice to just learn to love it. Just learn to love it.
And there's a couple of things, because a lot of organizations out there are still using Excel spreadsheets, et cetera, et cetera. But if you think about it, the two most valuable things that a CRM system can do for you is if it integrates into your email and your phone. That right there alone, if I can capture, and that's what I love about the CRM system I use, because it captures all of my emails. So I can immediately see the trail for that customer. I can immediately see the trail for that prospect. I can immediately see all that. I can also see the phone calls in there. That to me is an absolute time saver. And anybody who is looking to upgrade or change a CRM system, you have to stop and ask yourself, where are the elements that are going to help my salespeople be less locked into doing paperwork? And that is how you're going to sell the system. I'm going to go back to Nathan. Nathan, you're a CRO of a large manufacturer with a global sales force. Your expectations of our CRM system are going to be much different than like a storefront insurance agency. It's going to be much different than a small manufacturer or a retail store. And this is what's key. As you do go to select a CRM system, should you be there? And Nathan, back up the bus, because I'll tell you what, if you're doing it just to try to say, hey, wow, this is going to be an excuse tool for me, don't do it. But if you do, you got to make sure that you look at what your peers are using. And that's one of the easiest methods to do. Look at what your peers are using as a CRM system, and then ask yourself, how would that fit into my company?
Yeah, I think it's such great advice to really start to look at the CRM, not only as a tracking tool and an information tool, but how can that CRM make my life easier? I think, Mark, we use the same CRM tool now.
Yes.
And a big reason that I selected it was integration. Number one, it's specific to our industry. Number two, it integrates with almost everything else I use. So that whole thing of when I get a lead in through my website, it automatically goes into my CRM. That alone just saved me a whole lot of time. I want to go back to this idea, though, of the sales leader not getting in there. I mean, number one is that's bad optics for the people that work for you. The second is, I don't know how you know what is going on with your salespeople if you aren't looking into the CRM. Like, if I manage to Mark and I can look at the quality of his conversations, not to hold a stick to Mark, but to say, if he's struggling to hit his goal, I can get in there and look at those conversations and see, is he calling on the right people? What does the interaction look like? What are his next steps? Like, where is he missing in the process? Or if Mark is blowing it out of the water, I can learn from that. I can learn from that too, so that I can help other people on my team become better and better. It is such a rich tool. One of the reasons I wanted to do this show today, and I chose the topic, was data is going to be king going forward. The difference between when I started selling in the 1980s and selling now is we have so much access to so many people. I mean, just look at this chat. It's global. I mean, we have people from all over the world on here. So any information that I can get that that gives me the ability to focus on finding a prospect most likely to buy, most likely to pay my price, most likely to deepen a relationship is where the power is. And that's what you're trying to get, is that information to become more and more and more effective.
There's something key here. And if you're a sales leader, here's one of the things. When you're in a meeting, when you're having a conversation, you need to be bringing up, hey, I was just in Salesforce. I was just in HubSpot or Zoho, whatever the tool you use. And I noticed that comment. That was a great comment. Hey, love to talk a little more about that as to what you think the next steps are. In other words, what you're doing is you're going into the CRM system, you're lifting out data, and you're not using it to beat people up. You're using it to, hey, let's have a conversation on this. Let's discuss this further. And if you're doing that on your weekly team call, something like that, and you do that, guess what? People are going to very quickly begin to clue that, hey, you know what? They better be using that CRM system because boss is using it. Here's the other piece. Here's the other thing that I love, especially when it gets down to the end of the quarter, end of the half. I see so many sales managers, what they do is I need a forecast update. I need a forecast update every week or almost every day and so forth. I said, hold it. Why am I not getting that out of CRM? Why am I not getting? Why is when suddenly the heat gets turned up, we ignore the CRM system? Well, again, that's a signal to the organization. Oh, guess what? When we get down to the last 2-3 weeks of the quarter, I don't have to worry about CRM. Well, guess what? Big mistake. You've got to stay in it all the way through.
Yeah. And I think I love the stat that Patrick Tinney put up here that says salespeople only use 30% of their day selling and the rest of their time on admin. A CRM and the capability of them now, it's massive. I mean, what they can do is huge. So you have to eat that elephant in really small bites. Like, I signed up for my CRM. Gosh, I've probably been in it 3 years now, and I'm just slowly doing more and more and more with it. I've not gotten to the capability of what my CRM has done, but I think as a sales team or as a sales professional, this is a great exercise for all of us. Sit down and really ask yourself, what do I need my CRM to do? What's 3 or 4 things that my CRM could do that could make me more effective as a salesperson? And by effective as a salesperson, I mean, what gives you more time and more ability to sell? So if you're only selling 30% of your time right now, let's not look to turn the needle to 100. What can we do to get to 40 to 45? What can my CRM pick up? And then get those tasks nailed down. Then add on from there, add on from there, add on from there.
And that's one of the key things about your CRM system. Look for others to share with you ideas. You and I use the same CRM system, and a number of people in our industry use it, and it's good. So I'll overhear a conversation. You'll mention something, and it'll spark an idea. I need to take a look at that. This is so key. But I work with a lot of companies that are in Salesforce or they're in HubSpot, and so I find myself in both of those systems frequently. But there's many times that I'll say, wait a minute, I want to go out to YouTube. Yeah, go the School of Learning on YouTube. Just see what other people and it's going to spark an idea. It's going to spark something. And I go in. Wait a minute. Here's a different way to look at the dashboard. Here's a different way to look at a report. Because again, what happens many times is people will implement a CRM system and they fail to really, like you said, get the full value out of it. Because they get locked into their initial set of reports. If you're a company, and go back to Nathan, in Detroit, chances are if they install a CRM, they're going to bring in some sort of a company that's going to help them do that. And they're going to set up this template and this. Well, hold it. That's just the starting piece. There's so much value that you can unlock if you embrace it as a tool to your advantage. And this is the whole key thing. You have to look at it. And I'm going to throw this out. I'm surprised we haven't said this, before. One of the best ways with any CRM system is if it's not in the CRM system, it didn't happen, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a comment Salesforce has to live by.
Yeah, I think probably, I think one of the most important things too is when you talked about the fact that sales leaders asking for forecasting tools and things like that, is that there is, I venture very few CRMs that most companies are working that the reports that salespeople are asked to do probably already exist in the system. And so we have to get in there and figure that out, what the system can do. So number one, if you're a solopreneur like Mark and I are, really set some small goals for yourself around the CRM. I am going to guess that everybody on this podcast, me included, is not maximizing the use of our CRM. And that's a great goal for the rest of 2023. What are some more things that you could really get your CRM to be doing for you that could make you more effective? Because as rough as I think it is that salespeople are only spending 30% of their time selling and the rest on admin, if your admin is really effective, it makes that 30% far more effective. I mean, I subscribe to the tool. I make 3 sales calls a day. That's it to run $1 million business. I don't spend hours a day making sales calls. So, but the more that those sales calls are targeted at the right customer, the more effective those 3 sales calls are a day. And that's where the value of your CRM comes in.
And let's run through a list here of kind of best of practice, because again, if you're a solopreneur like you and I are, you don't need to get a complicated CRM system. You and I both use Zoho and variations of it. And I'll tell you what, that is an excellent CRM system for small. If you have less than 3 or 4 salespeople or 5 salespeople, I recommend Zoho to anybody and everybody. If you are a website marketing driven organization, and it where you have people interacting on the website a lot and so forth, I really strongly recommend HubSpot, because HubSpot really came out of a marketing world and then became a CRM tool. Excellent CRM system. I work with a lot of companies that use HubSpot and they love it. If you, however, are in more of a consumer driven, and this is counter to where they were a few years ago, more of a consumer driven, and you have a very complicated supply chain and onboarding, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and you are a large organization, then probably take a look at Salesforce. The challenge is you want to get a CRM system that fits you today, but will also fit you a couple of years from now, because again, you can outgrow your CRM system. And the bigger the organization becomes, the harder it becomes. I watched an organization recently I watched one flip from HubSpot to Salesforce, another one flip from Salesforce to HubSpot. Painful in terms of how it stopped the organization. So take your time, think through, don't jump, but also don't think that adding a CRM system is suddenly going to have you making every number every quarter.
Yeah, I think this is such a great point that John is making here. It's vital to put information into the CRM, but it's more important to understand what you will get out of it. And I think that's a really, really important conversation. Patrick's got a question here, but I want to get this comment that Morris has too, because I think it's really important. The CRM will help the leader build solid ground in sales meetings, empowering the team. Morris, what I love about this is you're so right. Every time there is a sales meeting, the sales leader should be pulling information out of the CRM and having that meeting. In fact, Morris, I need to be doing that with my team. I'm not pulling information out of the CRM when we meet on a monthly basis. And I need to be doing that. So really good advice. I want to get Patrick's question up here. How much sales manager time with CRM has replaced one-on-one coaching? How is CRM affecting 4-legged calls with salespeople and managers?
That is a Pandora box question, because I'll tell you what, CRM system, again, if everybody's using it, it really should enhance 4-legged sales calls, because again, it gives everybody better information going in, and it hopefully will avoid people stepping on each other. The sales manager time with CRM replacing one-on-one coaching? No, it should not replace it at all.
Never.
Absolutely.
It should add to it.
Yeah. It really becomes kind of the starting point for the one-on-one coaching. So
yeah, Mark got in there and saw that I made 22 calls last week and not a single call moved forward. He's able to look at all my notes and come in and sit down and basically help me with something. Talking about the 4-legged calls, this back in the 1990s when I was selling, I was relatively new in a role, and my senior boss, not my boss, but the one over him, wanted to make some calls with me. And I set the call up. He was coming with me, and we get into the call, and he completely dominated the call. And I was using some kind of really loose CRM back there. It wasn't very, very good, but I did have notes. I did have notes in there, and I'll never forget him leaning across to my customer and saying, Chuck, we'd really like to have your business. And Chuck looked back at him and said, we have been a customer of yours for the last 15 years. And, you talk about first of all, if he'd gone into the CRM, he would have seen that I had some notes in there. Not good. It certainly wouldn't have done the breadth of Chuck's relationship, but I will never forget that. Think about that. It's the early 1990s, but that's the kind of stuff that a CRM helps you do. You just can't possibly remember everything that you talked about and really what the next steps are.
That is so, I mean, I tell you what, we could go on and on. Time is running past
Yes.
us. We've got to get on to the book here, but we should say, hey, we are now accepting registrations into the Sales Logic Mastermind. So if you want to get involved with us on a more intimate basis, jump out to Sales Logic Podcast. You'll see it there, and you can become part of the Sales Logic Mastermind. Hey, the book this week, Bernadette McClellan, good friend of ours. In fact, I just had breakfast with her a couple of weeks ago, came out with a book, Shift and Disrupt. Great book to read. It's only been out a couple weeks. You got to pick up a copy of it. So, anyway.
Yeah, I've got. It is all about really the wisdom of sales, and it's really a different approach from anything that you've ever really read. It's a great book. It's a very different book, and super excited. Is this Bernadette's first?
This is Bernadette's first major book. Yes, okay. Yeah, and of course she's now in the States, moved here from Australia. So absolutely, I mean, she's a great lady. Hey, we got a big audience. Brandon Bernanson, great to have you checking out the show this morning. Thank you for joining us. Hey, but we got to jump into the lightning round. Are you ready? Top 10 strategies to get your team to use the CRM. Go, you're on the clock.
Number one, hold them accountable. People do what they are rewarded for.
2, make sure that they see that you are in the system too.
Number 3, focus on getting just a few people actively involved. Don't try to convert the entire sales team.
Make sure you bring up comments, whatever content that is in your CRM system each time you have a sales meeting.
Yeah, I would say that use it in your one-to-one coaching sessions. Make sure that before you go into a coaching session, you've looked at your team members' CRM and use what you see or don't see in there in the coaching session.
Even as you get down to the end of the quarter, don't sit there and start doing stuff outside of CRM. Oh, we're going to keep a separate spreadsheet. No, keep those forecasts, keep those numbers in the CRM system. We're out of time. You do one more, I do one more, and we'll close it down.
Okay. I would say that use upper level management. If there are people in your organization that could, really compliment people for using the CRM, and make sure that people understand the value to them of using the CRM.
Embrace it with this line. If it's not in CRM, it did not happen. Period. Wow, what a great show. Hey, thank you for putting up that the registration link, because again, people can get into the Sales Logic Mastermind, and great audience this morning. This
I want to shout out to Brandon, big sales guru here. If you don't follow Brandon, you need to check out his AI tools. I mean, just really incredible information. So thanks so much, Brandon, for jumping on.
And you know what? As early as we get up, he probably gets up even earlier than we do. Anyway, with that, we want to say, hey, thank you for listening to Sales Logic this week. If you like what you hear, subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. If something we've said has earned you a single dollar, consider telling a friend about our show. It's how we grow when we help you grow. I'm Mark Hunter.
And I'm Meridith Elliott Powell.
Remember, when you sell with confidence and integrity,
uncertainty is going to become your competitive advantage.
And the sale becomes logical.
I love this. I got to end with Brad's comment here. He said, when I'm done with this, I'm going to go hug my CRM. Great way to look at it. Mark and I will be coming to you live next week from Orlando, Florida. We're going to be at a meeting together. Remember, go check out the Sales Logic Mastermind. You have been an incredible audience this morning. And we'll see you right back here next week, maybe 7 a.m. Eastern, depending on what is on the schedule, but we'll keep you posted for another episode of Sales Logic. Now, go hug your CRM, like Brad said, and close another deal.